Okay, so let me go back to the question. If I could tell somebody one thing about learning IT, what would it be? Here's a big thing, and this is something I've just seen materialize over the years. Education for education's sake is of very little value. Here's what I mean by that. And let me take it from a generic sense, and then let me apply it to IT in general. A lot of times, the natural flow that people follow is, they have children. The children go to school. Children learn kind of the foundations through elementary, through junior high, through high school, and they start learning these things, and then they get to college, and then they start going to college for they don't know, to find themselves. And as they're in college spending your money, and they're finding themselves, they start running into, they're like, well, I can't spend their money forever. I think I need a degree in, and they stay undeclared for a couple of years, and then I think I'm going to get a degree in psychology. Why? Because I've got most of the requirements and just these 2 classes and I'm done, or they start getting these degrees and things, and then they get out of college and they start looking for a job, and they find a job that they maybe could have got even without college, but they start working there, and they've 5 years later forgotten 90% of what they learned in college. But they're now in a career, and they have that degree that they say, okay, I've been there, done that. I have a degree in psychology that I'm now using in my whatever profession that they're using, and everybody acknowledges that. So that they don't really use that. So the same thing applies to IT. Meaning, you could go at IT. And start getting your certifications. Get Cisco certified, get Microsoft certified. But as you're going, you've got to start saying, what is my goal? For instance, you might get into programming. Let's say you get into programming like I did when I was in college. That's what I went to college for. And I started learning about if-then loops, and I started learning about variables and declaring them and expressions, and putting these things into functions and calling these functions, and all of these things started being information that went into my head, but I didn't have any practical use for them. So I started saying, well, I don't get it. I wasn't really inspired. I didn't know what to do with this information, and slowly quickly, it just went away. I started forgetting it. So the first thing I think you need to do when you get into IT, the number one advice that I could say, is set a goal for yourself. For example, if you're getting into computer programming, then say, at the end of this, I want to be able to create a website that I can type in my recipes to, and at any time I can go in and search and find the recipe that I was looking for. Make it up. Now, you might have no idea how to create a website. You might have no idea how to make the form or the drop down or anything for recipes or categories or anything like that. But by having that goal, you go, okay, I now need to learn the programming that I need to get there. If you're wanting to get into networking, or maybe you think you want to get into networking, you might say, well, I have a goal. I want to make sure that my house is secure. I have a wireless network. I don't want my neighbor to use it. How do I do that? How do I make sure that my neighbor can't use my wireless network? Figure that out and learn the IT skills to get there. So always having these goals that you're setting, rather than just going in and saying, I'm going to get a CCNA. You can do that, but it's going to be a lot harder to get there because you're going to be learning this stuff. You're like, okay, why? I'm learning it for the exam, and maybe the exam is your goal, but you need to have a bigger picture of what you're going after when you get into IT. So that would be the number one advice that I would give.